Hello, welcome everyone to the Global Summit I Am Possible, an event to inspire you to have the courage to be yourself. So together we can create a heart-centered revolution where everyone is possible. My name is Mar Guerrera. I'm the founder of Alma Kemi. And today I have the pleasure of having with us Khadija Jansanet.
Yes.
She's a entrepreneur like business coach, and she has a signature program, the Client Creation Queen, where she helps you to connect and you can bloom into who you are. So I'm very excited to have you with us. How are
Thank you
you?
so much. Thank you. Thank you, Maria. I'm so glad to be here. And I love the name of this summit, I Am Possible. It feels good. So I feel happy to be included.
Yes, I'm so happy that you are included. And I would love to start with your own journey because I'm asking that to every speaker, like, how are you possible? Like, how did you get to where you are now? And then you are in service of other people to help them to bloom. I love that idea as well, to bloom into who they are.
Yeah. Thank you for asking. And I thought of that business name years ago, because I just felt like I feel like I want to live my potential in this lifetime. I want to self-actualize, and I love flowers. And I felt like one day, I don't even remember how it came. I was like, bloom into you. Like, I feel like we're all here to be uniquely ourselves, and that it's a growth journey to unfold into who we are. And oftentimes people use, like the seed of an acorn, it's meant to be this big acorn tree. And I feel the same way, that we're meant to blossom into the fullness of who we are. And I've always been attracted to self-development. I think that well, I, just now that you're asking, I was thinking of when I was 18, but it actually started earlier. But I really started to get into a lot of personal development books. Um, my first year of college, maybe senior year in high school, but I've always been a journaler. I've been a journaler since I was a preteen. And in those journals, which I still have, I would say, Dear God, and I feel like I always had that conversation and a feeling like there was something bigger and more than me. And, at one point I thought that I wanted to be a therapist. When I was in college, I met with my college advisor, and I just, when I met with her, I felt like I wanted to be a counselor. And I actually was a high school counselor for a while. And I thought that I wanted to be a therapist. And then I found out about coaching. And I love the name of this summit because that's exactly what I learned that coaching was, is that we're looking for possibilities, and we're helping clients step inside of possibility and seeing themselves in a new way. And that's what coaching is for me, because people have dreams, but just we're all human. We get stuck in our fears and our limiting beliefs. And to have someone be able to create a container for you to step inside of what's possible, and to keep stepping inside of what's possible, um, is something that I'm truly inspired by. Not only helping others, but I'm always in my own containers to keep stepping inside of my next possibility.
Yeah, it's like we keep being in process as well, right? It's not that
Absolutely.
just there is a moment that we hear the call to be there to hold the space for others, but that
Yes.
doesn't mean that we haven't finished.
No, not at all. I'm constantly in circles, whether it's working with a one-on-one coach or in a group setting. And I love being around people who are further along than me, because I feel like they nurture that possibility, because when you see someone else doing it, you feel like, and they're close to you, you feel like you can do it too.
Yes. And as well, it's kind of like you see what you want to become. Even like we won't be exactly the same
Yes,
because each person is unique, but it's kind of like an inspiration of that. It's possible. So then we believe in it, and then we go towards that.
absolutely.
Yeah. And for your spiritual business, like how coaching is connected with this and with money, because there are so many issues at the moment with the economical crisis and with people having to reinvent who they are because the
Yeah,
business that they were doing it doesn't work anymore.
yeah.
So What is your insights into that?
Well, there's a lot there. So I have a few things about different things.
Yes.
So yes, I think that enter the coaching of the profession of coaching is a spiritual um, industry. I think it's a spiritual job. Not everyone probably thinks to themselves if they don't identify as spiritual, but I think coaching is it's called the growth industry, the transformation industry, because people are interested in self-actualizing. They're interested in following their purpose. So I think being a coach and working with a coach is being committed to always leaning into the best that you can be, growing into your next incarnation, so to say. And so I'm now a business coach. I didn't start as a business coach. I was a life coach because I was interested in my own self-actualization and inquiry and exploring what was possible for me in my own life. And I think that naturally lends itself to when you're doing your own work and you feel like you've reached certain markers in your own life, I feel like it's natural to share. And so a lot of the coaches I work with also identify as teachers, and I identify as a teacher as well. And I've often said that I think that being a coach, being an entrepreneur is a spiritual journey because so much gets confronted when we decide to put ourselves out there, when you decide to stand up for what you believe in. When it comes to charging for your services, you get to question, like, am I worth it? Are my services worth it? Is it fair to charge when we're going through so much in the world right now? So many people have lost their jobs. How can I charge? So I just feel like there's all these existential questions that come up when you start to follow your path and your purpose. And so that's one reason why I believe that this is a spiritual path, especially for a heart-centered entrepreneur. And yes, many things can be a spiritual path. Parenting can be a spiritual path if you choose so. Relationships can be a spiritual path. But I find that for heart-centered entrepreneurs, like oftentimes we are faced with, because if you're in business to make money, but you're also in the helping profession, I think it goes against so much of what we've been taught, because you're taught that you should just help people out of the goodness of your heart. And I think that we have views of money that also don't support people in making money, especially as a coach. Because a lot, I don't know if you see this in your practice, but I work with a lot of people who feel like, can I charge that much? Is it fair? Or they feel like they're taking versus it's an exchange and that they're offering. And so I think it's really important to look at your money beliefs and examine where they came from. Do they actually serve the goals that you have? Because if you're in business, you probably want to make money and you probably want to create your right livelihood. And I think it's an opportunity to unpack and create a healthy relationship to money, to currency, to exchange, because we've always exchanged even before we actually had cash and coins. So I know that was a long answer, but
Yeah, no, of course, but there were many themes into it, right? So, and the issue about money is amazing because it brings up so much. And there is this idea that spirituality and money cannot be together. But then at the same time, if you really need to put your energy into something, you need to make a living out of that.
absolutely.
And then the self-worth, I would love you to talk about that a little bit more, because
Yeah.
I know it's an issue that it has come up for me and it keeps doing it. It's like how much you charge is very connected with also not even how much, but the ability to be able to charge what you feel is fair.
Yes.
It is so
Yeah.
connected with the way we value ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So
So on one level, we are priceless, right? Like we can't actually put a dollar amount on who we are as beings. And I think it might be helpful to separate that you're not actually putting a price necessarily on you, but but the service that you're offering and its potential to transform that person's life. And, sometimes it helps to take yourself out of it, because it's interesting, because most of the people that I work with, I would say all of them, have invested a lot of time, energy, and money in their personal growth. People who are in the personal growth field, like, they love that. Like, it's their joy to work with teachers, work with mentors, work with coaches. Yet sometimes when it's switched and now it's their time to receive, somehow it feels funny, or like they feel like they encounter something with sales. And so I feel like the first piece you brought up, owning your value and your worth, is really to, like, to the best of your ability, to look at your offer, to look at your services, and say, like, why am I doing this? Like, why do I even think I want to make a business out of this? Because usually when we're getting in our head, we've forgotten all the reasons why. So it's like, why am I so passionate about this work, about this modality? And it's probably because it has shifted your life in some capacity. So I think it's incredibly valuable to get present to why it's really important to you. The second thing is like, what's the potential? What's the possibility when someone is able to transform this area of their life through working with you? Maybe they're going to sleep better. Maybe they're going to have a better relationship with their children. Maybe they're going to be able to retire their parents. Like, what is possible? Because sometimes what happens is you forget all of that once you're thinking about sales and marketing. It's like, oh my God, I'm selling, I'm marketing. Do people think I just want them for the money? All of this stuff. And so now it becomes a head thing versus taking a breath, dropping into your heart. Why is this meaningful? Why is this impactful? And, like, what is the opportunity that you're presenting with someone to have an area of their life healed, solved, or transformed? And I think that those are some great beginning steps to really begin to stand in the value. And then I also think that it just takes practice, that it doesn't even matter how much you charge, like, maybe you're already charging a lot of money and you want to charge more money, and then you're feeling weird about charging more. But I think that's the spiritual growth part, right? Because it's like, okay, maybe you get comfortable with this number, and now it's time to charge, to increase your prices. And then you get to expand and work through whatever discomfort or fear or insecurity, self-doubt. And then you have another growth opportunity for the next level. So I think that it's practice. It's practice saying the numbers out loud. It's practice working with people. It's practicing receiving how your work is impacting others. I'll just share with you quickly, Maria. I was talking to someone today, and she it's funny because she doesn't she says she's been following me for a while and that she's gotten a lot of value from my free content. And I was like, awesome. That makes me so happy to hear. And I just asked her what exactly, has been shifting for her. And I bring this up is because it's like, sometimes coaches, service-based entrepreneurs aren't even taking in like I was so moved by that. So, like, my point is take in the compliments that people give you, receive that. And it's like, the more that you, like, receive that, the more you'll be able to receive that. And it's like, wow, she's getting value from my free content, which is my intention. And know that you don't have to charge. There's so many ways that people can work with you. You can have your free community, you can have your paid offerings, and she might be someone that never works with me, or she might, but she's already getting value. And so sometimes knowing that there's a diverse way for people to benefit from your experience can be incredibly helpful.
Yeah, I think that is a model that I really enjoy and resonate. Like, you are offering at different levels, so then everyone can enjoy and then learn and grow from what you are offering without feeling that it is too much, because it has also a danger. I don't know, in my personal experience, it can be also like overcharging, that I think there is something that is not it doesn't feel okay with that either. So finding the balance is
Yes.
is very difficult. Basically, I think it's something that many people are struggling with.
Well, I love that you brought that up because it you don't want to overcharge. Like, everyone has a different set point for what feels good. And the beauty about having your own business is that your prices can change, your offerings can change. And so, there might have been a time where charging a certain amount would feel like amazing. And then maybe you worked for that amount for a while and then it started to feel small and you needed a bigger container. And I think that's what happens with our prices. And I love that you brought in feeling, because it isn't about what other people are charging, what you think you're supposed to charge. People can make good money charging different prices because they have a different model, but it's really important to check in with yourself. Like, how much do I want to make? Does it feel in integrity with me to charge this amount? Or am I starting to feel like it doesn't feel in balance, in harmony? Do you feel like you're over giving or giving for the price that you're charging? And so I think that you're right. Intuition definitely plays a huge role in our pricing. And I think it's also good to stretch yourself, like there might be a number that you're comfortable at, but you want more, and maybe, you know, stretching yourself to take the next financial leap. It's all part of the growth process, I think.
Yes. And do you see also like it helps the process of working with someone in business coaching? Does it help also for people to see really what is the purpose? Because they can have an idea, but does it change in the process as well?
Oh yeah, I mean that's where I start, at least in my practice, with your why. What is it that you want to create? Like, before we even get to how much you charge, it's like, even having that clarity about, do I want to charge? Is this a business or is this a hobby? Because I feel like a lot of people feel pressured, like they're supposed to. You don't have to monetize everything, but if you're going into business, you do have to make peace with making sales. A lot of clients that I work with, like, at least have a story that they hate sales, but at the same time they want to make money. And so do you see the the contradiction? It's like, I hate sales, but I want to make money. And so the way to make money is to make sales. And I think it might not be that you hate sales. I think that sales is a skill that can be learned, that can be practiced, that can get better over time. And it really, if you were to shift that to, like, I'm sharing something, you're sharing yourself, because without that, without the sale, then you don't get to do your work with the person. And yes, you could charge it for free, but a lot of reasons why people in helping professions get burned out is because, like, they're giving so much time, money, energy, and what they're getting back in terms of money is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And so it feels life-giving when you get paid for what you feel like your services it are worth. It actually gives you energy. It's actually depleting to feel like you're to actually I was going to say to feel like you're under earning and to actually be under earning, because now it's like it's stress and fatigue. And so there's also that money is a resource. It's supposed to help. And if you're in the helping profession, I don't think that you have to worry about, Maria, I just have to tell you, the people who worry about being salesy and pushy, in my opinion, are the least salesy and pushy. Isn't that the irony?
Yeah, yeah, because then the ones who are, they don't worry about that. They
Yeah,
are just,
exactly. The ones who are like, I don't want to be pushy. And like,
it's like, don't worry, you're not going to be pushy. You need,
you're so far from being pushy. Like, you haven't even made an offer and you're like, I don't want to be pushy. Um, and I think
yes.
it's also it's an opportunity for women too to step inside of their leadership. I know it's been a huge opportunity for me to step inside of my leadership. And even if I look at myself on the receiving side, you know, of being on a call with someone, like being able to have found my no, to say I'm a no for now, or that, you know, maybe at another time. Like, I think even just being able to say no is great practice for women. To say no, like it's not right for me right now. And so there's the two piece, and then just stepping inside of our leadership and learning to be clear, learning to be direct, which I think those are skills that I think a lot of women are practicing, that I work with, at least.
Yes, and also the visibility. I would love you to talk about that because it has been an issue for me this year. It was very clear always that I have a message and that I really want to kind of like just talk to people and work with groups and things like that. But then there is the fear of being seen, and at
Yeah,
the same time the longing of being
yes,
seen, because there is a knowing that you need
yes.
to do it. So
I
I guess it's something that you see a lot as well.
Absolutely, and it's something that I have dealt with, and it's still like in process. But I would say visibility is one of like the biggest challenges um, that women in my community face. And like, there's different layers, you know, because some people are being visible, but so maybe they're being visible by showing their face, or they're showing up, but they're not making an offer, right? And then there's also where you're not visible very much, and you're not showing up and letting the world. And I think that there's, you know, probably some like ancestral, you know, wounding around, you know, what's going to happen if I'm visible. Like, am I going to get burned at the stake, or is something bad going to happen? I'm going to be shamed or criticized. And so, I mean, public speaking is one of the number one fears of putting yourself out there and using your voice. Yet I also feel like that's also part of the spiritual journey, is like finding the courage to be visible and to show up in safe places. You know, I feel like I always recommend stretching yourself, but not so stretching yourself so much where your nervous system feels shocked and it can't do it again. That's not sustainable. But I have found, you know, being in women's community has been incredibly helpful for me, and incredibly helpful for my clients, in like finding their confidence and their courage. And it's like, to know that you have a supportive container to explore visibility gives you courage to do it in more places. And then another thing I'll say about the visibility piece is just, you know, worry about what other people are going to say. Like, what if I'm not good enough? What if they don't like what I have to give? And then like, we presented with an amazing journey to like extend all of that we're trying to get from others onto ourselves, you know? And so I approach showing up, being visible, like as a part of my practice. And so if you can divorce, you know, likes, comments, people saying it's so great, even though that feels great. And I understand it can feel really disappointing. I've had it when you don't receive that, but it's also a huge opportunity to be like, I'm showing up for my calling, I'm showing up for my purpose. And then anything everyone adds on is extra. But it's like your relationship with the divine, and your relationship with what you're here to do. So yes, visibility is a big one. And I feel like it can be I was going to use the word conquered. I don't know if that's what I mean, but with it can be eased. It can be eased in increments, you know. I think sometimes people put so much expectation on them that like, okay, I have to do a Facebook Live if it's their first time, or I have to do something that's out of their wheelhouse. Like, you get to decide, like, how do you wish you could be visible? And what's the next step that you could take? It doesn't have to be 10 steps down the line. What's the next step? And then find your confidence legs there, and then you'll feel empowered to take the next step.
Yes. And I feel it's so important at the moment, right? Because when there is this message coming from us to share, it's because it's really somebody needs to listen to that.
Yeah,
So it's amazing how we limit ourselves. Like, is everything going back always to that being possible, and then how we think we are not, or we feel we are
yeah,
not ready, so then you are never ready.
absolutely. And it's interesting that you said that, someone might need to hear that. And I feel like that can be a helpful way to put your attention out versus all of your attention is on you. Like, am I good enough? Are they going to like me? And it's like, if you're thinking like there's someone out there named Paula who's just like waiting, like, she wants to make some kind of change, and then here you show up. And so it's so funny, in my Facebook group the other day, I just had a little post on perfectionism. And then someone posted, she said she was just journaling about perfectionism. And then she went on Facebook and she saw my post. And that felt like confirmation to her that, to take some steps towards releasing perfectionism. And so I feel like just what you're saying, like if you can have in your mind, like um, a client that you've worked with in the past, someone in your community that, like I love the people that I work with. I love the people that I connect with, and I get to hear the things that they're working through, that they want to create in the world. And like, if you can do everything that you can to be laser sharp on them versus, people worry about, oh, the person I went to high school, or, my job, this, that, but really focusing on your ideal client and how you can create something that can help them move the needle on their goal. So it takes a lot of focus because our ego wants to be everywhere else.
And with that, I would love you to talk a little bit about being authentic at the same time, right? Because we can have this also comparing to what others are doing, what is
Yeah,
successful for others. But maybe if we try to copy that, well, even I don't think it's maybe, almost for
yeah,
sure. If
yeah,
it's not in alignment with who we are, it's kind of like not going to work. So I would
yeah.
love you to talk about that, comparing with others, because it's hard not to. And also, like, this is a personal issue that I have sometimes with spirituality, when it looks like it's always wonderful,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in social media in
Yeah,
general, right? Like, it
I got
looks like your life is always wonderful and it should be
that.
always amazing.
Yeah.
And well, life is.
Up and down. Yeah, we have ebbs and flows. Well, yes, I hear that a lot, the whole comparison thing. And I have the personal opinion that if you're following people and you notice that you're not feeling good, it's making you doubt what you have to give, it's making you more afraid to put yourself out there versus lean in, then I would recommend cleaning your feed and muting, unsubscribing, because it just becomes a huge distraction. And sometimes it just stops people from creating, because maybe you're looking at someone else and you feel like they might be steps ahead of you. And so you're like, impressed by their branding, you're impressed by their audience, and you're like, oh my God, like, they're here, I'm here. And so if who you're following doesn't make you feel like you can do it too, then I would reconsider following. And I don't think all comparison is bad. I think you can pay attention to how you feel, because you can also look at someone and say, hey, they're doing something like I feel like I would like to do, and I connect to that person, and maybe if they can do it, I can do it too. And I think that authenticity, again, it begins with like, well, why am I doing that? Why am I doing this? What's my intention? Who do I hope to reach? How would I most like to express myself and share what it is that I do? And I think that you're right. Like, just being a human person, like, we have so many emotions in a day. Our lives aren't always perfect, yet on social media, it can feel like people don't have problems. And one of the things I do say is that it's important to position yourself as an expert. And positioning yourself as an expert does not mean that you don't have problems or fears. Like one of the things that I do a lot in my classes is share um, my struggles with being visible, with putting myself out there, with doing it afraid. Um, and just all the like self-limiting thoughts and ways that I was afraid to put myself out there. And so I feel like in my sharing that, I feel like my audience can relate and see that like, wow, you know, Khadijah could overcome, you know, being afraid to, you know, be on video or to, you know, fear of technology and doing a webinar, then I can too. That being said, I think that you should only share what feels authentic for you to share. I think that it's okay to um like I feel like there's some people who use social media as a journal, which is absolutely fine, right? And then other people who are more private. And so for me, I consider myself um the latter. Like I'm a more private person, and growing my business has helped me share more of myself online in a way that maybe I would not have if I didn't have a business. So I feel like there are a lot of people who I work with too that say, you know, they feel like they're introverts, and so it's taking extra energy for them to put themselves out there. But I don't think that you have to pressure yourself to to share things that aren't authentic for you to want to share. So that's where your authenticity comes in too. It's just like, how much do I want to share? What do I want to create? What feels true for me? And always coming back to, what do I want here? What would make me feel good at the end of the day? What does my client need to hear, or my potential clients need to hear to connect with me? And so I think there's so many different styles, Maria. Like there's some people who like I've followed and I don't know anything really about their personal life. I just trust them to help me with business, you know, and then other people who are more personal, and, you know, you feel connected to them that way. So I just feel like there's such a broad range of audience. I feel like it's like dating and we're all interested. Yeah, you know, like
Online dating for your
we're all interested in different things, you know,
yes.
like some people are going to be like, I just need someone that's going to bear their soul to me. You know what I mean? So it's,
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting that because doing the summit, I had two issues when I was thinking about organizing this. One was like, there is already a lot. So why I'm going to put more information into a system that is already like overflow with information?
yes, yes,
And then that I made peace with, okay, I'm doing it in bilingual, so then it's different, then it's, but at the same time, if I was feeling the call to do it, is because there is something there. But then the message that is coming from many of the interviewers is that it's like an oracle. So internet is like all these database where each person has the opportunity to reach to the message that they need. Exactly what you were saying about the perfectionism, right? Like that person. So in that sense, we don't feel we are putting more noise.
yes.
It's just giving more options. So then
I so love that you brought this up, because I think this, and this is a lot of times people will think like, oh, there's so many people doing this out there. Like, can you imagine if a writer said, oh,
there's so
you know,
many books.
there's so many books, you know, Maria, I don't think I'm gonna write a book this lifetime. Or like, oh, there's already too much music out there, I'm not gonna write some music. We would think that that is absurd. And
Yes.
but people do that with like, oh, I can't put my service out there because so many people are doing it. It's like there's so many people on this planet. Everyone's attracted to people for different reasons, and the way that you say it and your style and the energy that you bring is completely different than the energy that someone else is bring. And so you don't just have one CD in your house. You have tons. You have
Yeah.
tons of books, because everyone has something special, unique, and different. And we are unique books and CDs and scents and all of that as well.
Yes, I love that. It's so, yeah, it's true. It's like we wouldn't say, and it's kind of like a way we are building like a library in online oral, like we are going back to oral traditions
Mhm.
where the written words are a lot more fixed, but the oral is more fluid
Yeah.
and it moves faster, but then also is more creative
Mm.
because something that is written is a lot more like this from A to B to C. So I think this for the feminine energy that is kind of like awakening, the oral
Yeah,
tradition is like coming back. So it's a
absolutely.
very exciting period in that sense.
And I'm so glad that you put on your series anyway, because it's like people want to listen to this music, right? Like you're right. Like there's so much happening, and you're like, you're creating some respite from all of the noise, you know? So I feel like we always have that possibility to say that, you know, I'm a contributor here. And, you know, some people want to unplug from the noise and they want to hear a powerful message like what you're sharing here on this series. And so I love that you did it anyway, because I think a lot of people would stop themselves. And I've actually heard clients said this, especially during the pandemic, that like, oh, I don't want to contribute to the noise. It's like, that's why you need to share, because there is so much
There is
noise.
so much
There's
noise.
so much
So
noise.
you're
So
bringing a voice that
exactly, exactly.
yeah, it's totally true. Even like, and the perfection part was also there because I'm aware that English is not my native language. I'm aware that I have an accent and I'm aware that sometimes I make mistakes. I understand 100%, but when I speak I'm aware it doesn't sound 100% the same that a native person will sound.
Yeah,
But then it was, I think there is a beauty in that as well, that it doesn't have to be perfect
yeah.
to be able to do it anyway. So that was a big fear for me also to do it in both. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I have to tell you that that was attractive to me,
okay.
because I was thinking, you know, you when you get an invitation, you're like, okay, I'm looking at my calendar first, like, well, can I do this? And then like that, you know, I actually appreciate. I was like, wow, she's doing this in English and Spanish. Like, that made me feel like I wanted to be a part of it, you know. So it's interesting. Like, you can be thinking, or someone can be thinking, like the thing that makes you different might be the thing that you know, has people lean out versus, but it's like it could be the exact thing that has people lean in and want to know more. And so I think it's beautiful and revolutionary, and connecting, especially at this time that you're creating and hosting a multilingual summit. Like, I maybe it's been done, but I've never seen it. And I was like, I just was really impressed by that. So
Cute. And it's also like astrologically, it's really like the North Node is in Gemini. The Gemini is about different perspectives and seeing both sides. And there is so much healing in that as well, in the sense of like we live in these societies that we feel, and that was also my call of living in Thailand, being from Spain. I lived in the States as well. And
mhm,
is seeing different realities, and then how can we see and compare, but compare not like I'm less, just seeing
yeah.
options.
Yes. Well, it feels so unifying, just even as I hear you saying that, you know, Thailand, Spain, lived in America. It's like we're
Yes,
one.
and there are speakers from all over the world,
One.
like
Yes.
yeah, so I was like, is this call to what it really means to be human? How can we connect beyond borders, beyond languages, beyond colors, beyond everything? Like there is
Yeah.
pain in being different, but there is also a gift in being different. So how do we make peace with all of this?
Yes. Well, it just makes me feel like if if viewers who are doubting themselves and they're like, who am I? And so many people are already doing this. I feel like you putting this on is such a beautiful representation of the power of what one person bringing, unity can do. And like the trickle effect of all the participants sharing this with this world, like it's a global summit. And so I just feel like that just models what's possible. I am possible. I am
Yes,
possible.
yes, and we all are, and there is this need for being your most powerful self.
Mm,
Like we all, I feel this big call of stop playing small
yes,
for every
absolutely.
single human being. If we all did that from a place of a real alignment, not like now I'm going to push the others, just kind
Mhm.
of like use our space energetically, then I don't know. And I would love you to talk a little bit about co-creation because it's something that for me is very important, and I feel it's kind of like the way towards the future. So
Yeah.
how do you see that in business coaching and with your clients?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I think of when you say co-creation is I think of me and source and me, um, whether you call it God, goddess, universe, that we get to co-create our lives. And so that I'm not a passive um, observer, watcher. I mean, I am the observer and watcher, but we get to participate in creating the world that we want to see and also in creating the lives that we want to see. And I see my coaching is a co-creation. So it's like you're coming together with another person, and then like a third entity is created for you to create the thing that you're wanting to create. And so it's all collaboration coming together. Like there's a universal mind that we get to tap into and connect to, and like I'm connecting with you. And so let's talk about co-creation here for a minute. It's just like once you start being visible, putting yourself out there, and it's just like, okay, I got an email from Maria saying, hey, Khadijah, would you like to be on my summit? I've never seen her name before, didn't know where she came from, but there she's in my box. And I think that when you start listening to your intuition, to your intuitive hits, and you're willing to be brave, even if you're afraid, because that's what it means to be brave and to be courageous is to put yourself out there, like you'll just start trusting yourself more, and you'll notice the synchronicity, and your intuition's going to tell you if you should say yes or no. And then it starts to feel like life is a dance, and there's just like magic and miracles happening all around. And so it's so funny because my partner yesterday, he was saying, oh, Khadijah, Marianne Williamson's doing uh, a course in miracles for the whole year starting January 1st. And so I have the course in miracles and I've never done it. I mean, I used to watch her when I was in LA, and I feel like it's something I've always wanted to do. And then opportunity appeared. And so I see co-creation as you recognizing that you're powerful, that anything is possible, that there's unexplainable things that can happen when you are co-creating with the universe, co-creating with others. And there's just so much magic. I get really excited about this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can feel it. We are like,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, so much magic that's available, because it's like that's when things don't feel like you're efforting your business and you're like, oh my God, I've got to post on social media, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And then it's you, I feel like you feel more trust in yourself and things feel easier versus you trying to like effort. Because I feel like when you're in co-creation, like there's an energy that's, you get to move with the tide, like an energy that's coming with you, that's carrying you along, where you don't have to work as hard, and then it becomes playful. And then people like Maria just appear out of nowhere. And then before you know it, you're on a Zoom call. You're on a Zoom call together. And then people you didn't know from other parts of the world are reaching out to you. That's called magic co-creation.
Yes, it's totally magical. And I'm in Thailand, you are in the States. We're like opposite time zones, and most of the speakers that they have are like in the other side of the world. So that's the magic of internet as well. It's so wonderful and
It,
it's so unifying that now we don't have this limitation anymore. We can connect with people in the other side of the planet.
yes. So then it's like, I love that you even said that about technology and the internet, because I think even that gets a bad rap, you know? So it's like everything money can get a bad rap. The internet can get a bad rap. The coaching industry can get a bad rap. And it doesn't mean that those things aren't there, but then it's just like, wow, like let's just take a moment to be grateful for the internet. Like, what if we didn't have the internet, and during this time in 2020 where we're in lockdown, shelter in place, there's no internet. Oh my God, we'd be having a completely um, different experience. So yes, it's amazing that we can connect with people all over the world.
Yes, yes. And so, talking about that, I would love you to share how people can connect with you, to work with you in a deeper way, and what are your offerings. So, then if they want to co create and start creating this magic with
Yeah.
you.
Yes, so I have a free client creation masterclass where I share some important principles to creating to your power and how you can begin to start doing more of what you love in the world with ease, with authenticity. And so Maria will share that class with you. It's called the Client Creation Masterclass, 5 keys to, I forgot the name of it, 5 keys to do what you love working from home. I've created a lot of free classes. I forgot that name. And then I'm on Facebook. I have a private Facebook group called Women Coaches in Bloom, and I do weekly trainings in there. And I love to share inspiration. And I'm on Instagram. So I'm all over social media. And if you feel called to have a conversation with me, I'd love to set up a chat with you to see how I could support you in your business. And so the link is bloominto.com/now. And so thank you so much, Maria, for connecting with me. I
Yeah,
really
thank you
enjoyed our
so much for your
conversation.
energy. For it's wonderful and it's this magical celebration. I love it. I love it. And then we are in such times that we do need to reinvent ourselves. So it was something that for me, for instance, and doing the transition as well between like I work in a university, moving towards more like owning my own business.
Yeah.
It was like, how do I do this? So I think this work that you're offering is so important because when you are in this transitional period, especially if you haven't had a business before, you were
Yeah.
working in a different field. It's like,
Yeah.
how do I start?
Exactly, exactly. So many people have made shifts. So like I had clients who were doing things offline, and then it's been a huge shift for them to transition to having an online presence. So maybe they felt comfortable being offline, but then they're like, oh my God, I don't like social media. I don't want to be behind a computer. So that has been a challenge. And some people who've been wanting to start their business, and then kind of the pandemic it's like, it's now sink or swim. I'm going to do it now, or I'm not going to do it at all. And so I just think that as a coach, as a healer, as a service-based provider, now is an incredible time we're so lucky. We're so lucky. Like so many people have lost their jobs, and you have a skill where you can connect with people like this on the phone. You can still teach, you can still earn.
Yes.
And it's a prime time to grow your business and like share the gifts that you have with others and get paid for them.
Yes, yes. And also, it's like there are so many people awakening now, like people who were totally in the other side, like totally very like, if it's not rational, if it's not scientific, I'm not going to even worry about this. Now
Yeah.
suddenly they are questioning everything. So I
Mhm.
feel that these practices and this service is the same idea. There is a lot, but if there are going to be more and more people who need those services, there will be also like a lot. It's like saying that
Absolutely.
we were talking about the music. We do have a lot of teachers and lawyers and doctors, and nobody says to a child, don't study medicine because there are already enough doctors.
I totally say that. I agree.
So it's the same, right? Like there are many coaches, there are many,
Absolutely.
but we need more.
Absolutely. And then people tend to work with lots of different people because everyone has their
Yes,
flavor. So
yes,
it's okay to have an abundance of coaches. Like I learn from different people every year, and it's part of that expansion of stretching into the next version of you. So I think now's a fantastic time, a ripe time to be creative and think outside of the box and like co-create the reality, the new work, or the next level work that you want to bring to the world.
yes, yes, yes. And that is absolutely necessary. That is something like I keep emphasizing. It's like we are in times that is like, it's now. It's
Mhm.
not like, oh, I'm not ready. So whatever you can offer
Oh,
now, and then it will
yeah.
grow.
Yes, 2020 has definitely been the year of the now. Like it's
Now, it's
now.
like that's it. If you were working on it, you are ready.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And then for some other people, they will need to do the seeking part,
Mhm.
the other part of the journey in which you are like seeing the options, doing your own personal healing, doing your own personal, that we keep doing as well. But it's like we are all in different places, and it's a cycle. So it's like you go back to more healing and then more showing up for
Yeah.
others. So yeah, that listening. And what I love about coaching is that listening piece,
Mhm.
that the coach is someone who really just listen to you and then bring the best that
Oh,
is
so
already there, right? Yeah.
yes, that's what I love about it too. And you're right, because the listening piece is so rare. And just as you were talking, I was just thinking about, like the levels of listening. So often we speak or we hear someone and we're just ready to respond. We're not actually listening. And a good coach, they're not only hearing the words that you say, if they're seeing you, they're paying attention to your body language, they're noticing, the pauses, the gaps, all the subtle communication that you're not expressing and the words behind the words. And so I feel like it's such a gift um, to be listened to that way, because it's like that's where the authenticity comes out, because it's like it's layers below the first thought. And so it's a gift to be able to um, have someone listen to you at that depth so that you can create what you want, because it's like, okay, I hear you saying this, but what about that? I noticed that you lit up when you talked about starting your own business. Um, and it's so interesting because you probably see this too when people are like, well, I really wish I could, but then it's like they disregard that because they have to do the practical thing. And
Yes.
so it's fun to play. I don't know. I keep saying the word because this is called I Am Possible, but to play with the possibility, like, well, what if you could have it any way that you wanted it?
Yeah. For me,
What?
for instance, as an astrologer, what it comes a lot is that reading a chart is just telling them that it's okay to be them.
Mm,
Is so beautiful. It's kind of like,
I
yeah, I've
love
been struggling with that my whole life. Is this or that? It's like it's not supposed to be this or that. It's supposed to be both.
that. Mm,
So how do you do both? Because sometimes,
mhm.
like in the chart, what you have are contradictions.
Yes.
Those contradictions help you to create,
Mm,
because in that merging of the opposite is where you find, ah, it's possible to do it this way.
mm.
So for me in that sense is so beautiful, because it's just telling them you are unique, and that's perfect.
I love that. I didn't, yeah, I've never heard it phrased that way. Um, but that's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
as an astrologer, I've never thought of it that way. Like that's the work that you're doing, but that's
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And also like helping, like for instance, with Venus. For me this year that I was working a lot on my own business, Venus has been very strong. And Venus is self-worth, is love with others as well, is listening, is
Mm,
receiving, is attraction, like how just being ourselves we attract. So there
yeah,
is so much, like if you align your business to the Venus cycle,
I
it's
love
just
it.
beautiful. And I've been doing that, and it's just like in awe. I'm in awe with the universe. And
Oh, that's such that's that I feel like that's great advice. Just um being in the essence of who you are, and that like just being more of who you are. Because
and
then
then
it's
you attract.
exactly. But people are always thinking that like, oh, I have to go out and do this. And so I love what you said, just affirming that no, you get to be more of who you are. And the work, the spiritual work is to be more of who you are, to let yourself be more of who you are, because we have all these conditions that have been placed on us from whether from parents, family, whatever. And it's like, oh, you get to take all of this off and be like, this is who I am.
And I'm wonderful, and you are as well. It's like, it's not, we don't compete with each other.
I
Yeah,
love it.
I love it. So thank you so much. And any final thoughts that you would like to share with people who are listening to us and watching us?
Well, first of all, thank you, Maria. I really enjoyed connecting with you. And I think the final thought is to be open to magic. Um, Pay attention to your authentic voice. Where's your intuition leading you? And that the more that you do that and you show up in your authenticity and you're willing to be brave and courageous, oh my God, the opportunities that land in your email box, land in your world will be really, really amazing. And so thank you so much for
Yes.
tuning in. And I feel amazing. I love this co-creation that we have created on this interview.
Yeah, yeah, same here. Thank you so much for your energy, for your magic, and for everyone who is listening to us the same. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you, and thank you for being possible.
Yeah.